Effective immediately. HR downstairs. 5 words. That's all Skylar Pierce said before she dropped the termination notice on my desk and walked out. No handshake, no explanation. Just a piece of paper that would detonate a $420 million acquisition in exactly 96 hours. She had no idea what she'd just done. I'm Ross Caldwell. I'm 52 years old, and I just got fired from Iron Ridge Defense Systems, the company I'd given 26 years of my life to. I looked down at the notice. Expensive cream paper, the kind they use when they want to make something look official. My name at the top, date and time stamped across the middle. I checked my watch. It was exactly 12 o'clock at noon on a Monday. My $185,000 performance bonus was scheduled to hit my account Friday at noon, 96 hours from now. Skylar thought she was being clever. Cut me loose before payday, save the company money. What she didn't know was that bonus wasn't just money. It was a tripwire connected to the one thing holding her acquisition together. Here's what you need to understand about that $185,000. It was tied to a clause written 12 years ago by the company founder, Colonel James Bulldog Murphy. Bulldog was a retired Marine, the kind of man who believed your word meant something and loyalty went both ways. When he wrote that clause into my contract, he made sure nobody could ever strip away what we'd built together. The clause was simple. Once that bonus paid, full ownership of our core defense protocol, the Fortress system, would automatically transfer to me. Not symbolically, legally. And without that system, Iron Ridge had nothing to offer Apex Defense Corporation. Skylar had just armed a bomb she didn't know existed. I signed the termination notice without a word. My hand didn't shake. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and headed for the elevator. HR was waiting in the lobby like they were escorting a criminal. I nodded and kept walking. On my desk, I'd left a small black USB drive. I saw Skylar glance at it as I passed her office. She probably thought it was my backup, proof she'd secured everything she needed. That drive was empty, had been for years. Every real backup, every line of code for the Fortress system was locked behind biometric encryption only I could access. I got in my truck and drove home. The city looked normal. People going about their Monday. Nobody knew that in 96 hours, the biggest defense acquisition of the year would collapse, and it would all trace back to 5 words in an office. When I walked through the front door, Beth was in the kitchen. She took one look at my face and set down her coffee. "Ross? I got fired. What happened?" Skylar walked into my office at noon and handed me a termination notice, effective immediately. Beth's been my wife for 26 years. She's seen me through 8 years in the Navy, through all-nighters when systems crashed, through crises that would have broken other marriages. But this was different. Megan's a senior in college. Nathan's a sophomore. We've got tuition payments and a mortgage. Why would she do that? Because she's trying to cut me out before my bonus pays. She thinks she's saving $185,000. I sat down across from her. She just triggered it. In 96 hours, I'll own the Fortress system. Not Iron Ridge. Me. Beth pulled out the chair across from me. What about the acquisition? Dead without it. She was quiet for a moment. Then she said something I wasn't ready for. Ross, you've given them 26 years. What about us? What about Megan and Nathan? What about your health? That hit harder than the termination. 4 months ago, my doctor told me my blood sugar was too high, prediabetes. He said I needed to cut stress, lose weight, maybe think about early retirement. I'd promised Beth we'd go to Colorado for a month when this acquisition closed. Just us, a cabin, and no phones. I know what I promised. Do you? Because you've been talking about retirement for 3 years, and you're still there every weekend. This is different. How? Because Bulldog trusted me to protect what we built. And Skylar just tried to destroy it because she didn't bother reading the contracts she's supposed to be managing. Beth studied my face. She wasn't angry, just tired. Then she said something that surprised me. What if I help you? What do you mean? I mean, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. You handle the technical side. Let me handle the research. She pulled out her laptop. I've been selling houses to defense contractors for 15 years. I know how to dig up information on people. I went upstairs to my home office and powered up my workstation. A countdown clock appeared on screen. Red numbers ticking down. 95 hours, 58 minutes, 42 seconds. Let me tell you about Bulldog Murphy. I met him 26 years ago when I was 26, fresh out of 8 years in the Navy. I'd enlisted at 18, served on 2 submarines, learned about encrypted communications the hard way. When I got out at 26, Iron Ridge was nothing back then, just a warehouse full of engineers trying to build cybersecurity for military contracts. Bulldog saw something in me that first day. Maybe it was the discipline from my service. Maybe it was that we both believed the same thing. If you're going to build something, build it right and protect the people who help you do it. Over the years, I became the guy they called when everything was on fire. In 2018, when a ransomware attack hit the Eastern power grid, I was the one who stayed up 72 hours straight rebuilding our protocols from bare metal. The entire eastern seaboard could have gone dark. We stopped it with 6 minutes to spare. When the Pentagon needed quantum-resistant encryption for F-35 avionics systems, I designed the integration. When the Navy wanted secure communications for their new submarine fleet, I built the protocol. When our biggest client demanded 0-day patches in 48 hours, I delivered in 36. I didn't do it for awards. I did it because that's what you do when you're part of something that matters. 12 years ago, Bulldog asked me to meet him at a steakhouse in Arlington. It was a Thursday night, both of us exhausted from a week of crisis management. Over bourbon, he told me he'd written something into my contract that nobody else knew about. "Ross," he said, "I've been in this business long enough to see what happens when the wrong people take control. They gut everything that made a place worth a damn. I won't let that happen to what we built." He explained the clause. My annual bonus wasn't just compensation, it was a legal trigger. Once paid, the intellectual property rights for the Fortress system would automatically transfer to me. The transfer agreement was already executed, held in escrow, waiting for that payment confirmation from Iron Ridge's payroll system. "You'll own it," Bulldog said. "Nobody can steal it, sell it to the wrong buyer, or run it into the ground." I remember setting down my glass. "Bulldog, that's your life's work." "No, it's our life's work. And I trust you to protect it more than I trust any board of directors." At the time, I thought he was being paranoid. But Bulldog had survived 2 tours in Vietnam and 30 years in defense contracting. He knew how to see threats before they materialized. Now, sitting at my desk watching that countdown, I understood. Bulldog had seen this coming 12 years before it happened. He'd built a failsafe, and Skylar had just activated it. I checked my security protocols, credentials valid, encryption keys untouched, no unauthorized access attempts. Skylar and her IT team hadn't even tried to breach the system. They thought that empty USB drive was enough. Then I set up one more thing. An automated email scheduled to send if the licensing rights weren't renewed before the timer hit 0. The recipients, 3 lawyers at Apex Defense Corporation. The message was direct. As of Friday, 12 noon, Iron Ridge Defense Systems will no longer hold valid licensing rights to the Fortress protocol central to the Apex integration. Please review Section 14 of the acquisition agreement. Section 14. The key personnel continuity clause. It listed 3 people as essential to the acquisition integration. I was first on that list. If any of us left before completion, Apex had the right to delay, renegotiate, or walk away. Skylar had never read it. I'd bet my pension on that. The email would send automatically. No button to push, no dramatic moment. Just a quiet notification that would tear apart everything she'd been bragging about for 6 months. I went back downstairs. Beth had dinner on the table and her laptop open beside her plate. "Find anything interesting?" I asked. Skylar Pierce, MBA from Wharton, joined Iron Ridge 18 months ago. Beth scrolled through her notes. Before that, she was at a consulting firm. 0 hands-on defense experience. Her biggest accomplishment was a cost-cutting initiative that saved her last company $2 million by outsourcing IT to India. That explains a lot. Here's the interesting part. She's been telling the board she personally negotiated the Apex deal. But according to the industry publications I found, Apex approached Iron Ridge 8 months ago. She just inherited the talks. After dinner, I sat on the porch with my scotch and watched the sun set. The pressure in my chest was back, that familiar tightness I'd been ignoring for months. My phone rang twice. Unknown numbers. I let them go to voicemail. Tuesday morning, I woke up before sunrise. Beth was already downstairs with her coffee and laptop. "More research?" I asked. I called my friend Jennifer. Her husband works at the Pentagon Procurement Office. Guess what contract is up for renewal next month? I poured my coffee. The submarine communication array. $340 million 5-year extension. And it specifically requires the Fortress Protocol integration you designed. She looked at me over her reading glasses. Without you, Iron Ridge can't bid. The countdown on my computer read 71 hours, 15 minutes, 22 seconds. I was halfway through my coffee when my phone rang. It was a reporter from Defense Industry Weekly. The email came through first, polite but direct. She'd heard rumors about personnel changes at Iron Ridge related to the Apex acquisition. Did I have any comment? I wrote back one line. Ask them about Section 14. That's all it took. Section 14 was buried in the acquisition agreement, the key personnel continuity clause. 3 names listed as essential. Mine was first. Skylar had signed it 6 months ago without reading the fine print. Now a reporter was about to start asking questions that would make Apex's lawyers very uncomfortable. I went for a walk. The morning air was cold, the streets mostly empty. I needed to clear my head. My chest felt tight, that familiar pressure getting worse. The doctor's voice echoed in my head. Your blood sugar's too high, Ross. You need to reduce stress. By the time I got home, my inbox had a new message. Patricia Walsh, lead counsel for Apex Defense Corporation. She wanted to talk. I called her back. Mr. Caldwell, thank you for taking my call. We've had some questions raised about the acquisition agreement, specifically Section 14. We were hoping you could provide clarity. I kept my voice level. Section 14 is your key personnel continuity clause. You should have the original agreement on file. Yes, we do. But there's ambiguity about the licensing rights if certain personnel are no longer with Iron Ridge during integration. No ambiguity, I said. The language is explicit. Without my role, the licensing rights for the Fortress system don't remain with Iron Ridge. Silence on the other end. Then, would you confirm whether those rights are currently in force? The licensing certificate was last validated while I was employed. My status changed Monday. If you want confirmation beyond that, ask Iron Ridge for the current certificate. She let out a breath. Understood. Thank you for your time. 10 minutes later, my inbox exploded. Someone at Apex had forwarded an internal email chain to the wrong distribution list, and my address got caught in it. The entire conversation was there. Patricia had sent an urgent request to Iron Ridge's legal team demanding immediate proof of ownership for the Fortress system. Her email was direct. As per Section 14, the absence of Ross Caldwell from Iron Ridge employment raises substantial risk to licensing validity. Provide current certification showing active, uncontested ownership. The forwarded chain also showed that Thomas Webb, one of Iron Ridge's board directors, was now copied. Thomas was the pragmatic one, the guy who actually read contracts. He'd be asking questions Skylar couldn't answer. I closed my laptop and didn't forward the email anywhere. The less I moved, the more they'd scramble. That afternoon, my phone rang. It was Danny Torres, one of our senior engineers. I'd been training Danny for 8 years, teaching him not just the technical work, but how to think like an architect. He was 34, smart, and loyal in a way that's rare these days. His wife Maria was an accountant, and their 10-year-old daughter Sophia had been learning basic coding from me on weekends. Mr. Caldwell, I wanted you to know something. What's that? Skylar called me into her office this morning. She offered me VP of Engineering, $220,000 salary, said I could start immediately and take over all your projects. I waited. I told her I don't work for titles. I work for people who earn respect. Then I walked out. Something in my chest loosened. You didn't have to do that, Danny. Yeah, I did. You taught me integrity matters more than money. I'm not forgetting that because she's waving a bigger check. I appreciate it. One more thing. She asked me where you kept the Fortress backups. I told her I didn't know. She had IT trying to access your old workstation all morning. They won't find anything. That's what I figured. Just wanted you to know she's panicking. After we hung up, Beth looked up from her laptop. Danny's a good man. He is. Reminds me of myself at that age. What are you going to do about him? If this goes the way I think it will, Danny's going to have options. Wednesday morning, the news broke. Iron Ridge Defense Systems stock opened down 22% on heavy volume. The financial networks ran alerts. Acquisition uncertainty rocks defense contractor. Key personnel questions raise integration concerns. Iron Ridge stock halted twice in morning trading. I watched it unfold on my phone. Inside Iron Ridge headquarters, it would be chaos. Emergency board meetings, lawyers scrambling, Skylar trying to explain how this happened while her father, Richard Pierce, demanded answers. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "We need you back. Name your terms. Not under Skylar." That was Thomas Webb. I recognized the phrasing. He'd been in enough meetings with me to know my value. But I didn't respond. Not yet. Some offers are worth making them ask twice. Another news alert came through, Apex Defense Corporation reviewing all aspects of Iron Ridge acquisition. That was corporate speak for we're having second thoughts. It told investors the deal might not close. It told Iron Ridge's board they'd lost control of the situation. And it told Skylar that the clock I'd set was ticking louder than anything she could do to stop it. I checked the countdown. 47 hours, 18 minutes, 31 seconds. Beth came into my office with a sandwich and more coffee. "You need to eat." "I'm fine." "Ross, you look exhausted." "And you keep rubbing your chest." She wasn't wrong. The tightness was constant now, a dull pressure that got worse when I thought about the next 2 days. "Just stress." "I'm fine. This isn't just about the acquisition, is it?" She set the plate down. "You're carrying something. You have been for years. It's not just about protecting Bulldog's legacy. It's about proving you were right to give them 26 years. She wasn't wrong. Part of me needed Skylar to understand what she'd thrown away. Not for revenge, for validation. To know that all those nights, all those weekends, all those times I chose work over family dinners actually meant something. "Maybe," I said. Beth squeezed my shoulder. "Finish it. Then we're going to Colorado, and you're going to let this go." The call came at 9:47 Wednesday morning. Skylar's number flashed on my screen. I let it ring 3 times before answering. "Ross Caldwell." "Where the hell have you been?" Her voice was sharp, barely controlled. "Apex's legal team called me. They said they spoke to you. What did you tell them?" "Good morning to you too." "Don't. They're acting like there's a problem with Section 14. What did you say? Have you read the contract?" Silence. The kind that stretches too long. "I've reviewed the key sections," she said finally. "I'd recommend reading all of it, especially the parts your legal team didn't flag. Ross, this isn't a game. They want proof of ownership for the Fortress system. We can't find the certificate. Which system are you checking?" "The legal vault, the contract archive, every database we have." I almost smiled. "That's interesting. Last time I checked, the licensing certificate was in a separate vault, one with restricted access. The vault you controlled?" I glanced at my monitor. The countdown read 38 hours, 13 minutes, 51 seconds. "Ross, just tell me where it is. That would require me to still work for the company." "I don't." I heard her moving, shoes clicking fast against hard floors. "If we can't produce that certificate, the acquisition..." She stopped herself. "If you can't produce it," I said quietly, "Apex will invoke the delay clause. 9 months minimum, maybe longer. And during that time, they'll decide whether this deal is worth salvaging." "Damn it, Ross!" the shout cracked. "This is my reputation on the line." "Yes, it is." Neither of us spoke. Then she tried again, voice softer. "Look, if we work something out, if I talk to the board about reinstating you, I'm not coming back, Skylar, but read your contract, all of it." I ended the call. Beth looked up from her laptop. "That was her?" "Yeah." "How'd it go?" "About like you'd expect." "Good. I just got off the phone with my Pentagon contact again. The submarine contract I mentioned? They're accelerating the timeline. Bids are due next week, not next month." I stared at her. "Next week?" "Apparently there's been some security concerns that require immediate attention. Without the Fortress Protocol certification, Iron Ridge can't even submit a proposal." The tightness in my chest got worse. Not just stress now. Something else. "Beth, I think I need to sit down." She was beside me in seconds. "What's wrong? Just give me a minute." But even as I said it, I knew this was more than stress. This was 26 years of carrying other people's weight finally catching up to me. And I still had 38 hours to go. That evening, the news got worse for Iron Ridge. Stock closed down another 16%. Total decline, 35.52% over 2 days, wiping out $1.2 billion in market value. The financial networks were calling it catastrophic due diligence failure. One analyst used the phrase executive negligence at the highest level. I found a live stream from outside Iron Ridge headquarters. Skylar was leaving the building, surrounded by security, reporters shouting questions. Her face was pale, jaw tight, eyes straight ahead. The caption scrolled across the bottom. VP Skylar Pierce declines comment on acquisition uncertainty. My phone buzzed. An email from Michael Brady, CEO of Apex Defense Corporation. Subject, direct discussion, time sensitive. I opened it. The message was brief. Mr. Caldwell, given the current situation, Apex would like to explore alternative arrangements. Are you available for a confidential conversation tomorrow morning? I forwarded it to my attorney with a note. They're ready to deal directly. Prepare partnership terms. His response came back in 5 minutes. Outstanding. I'll draft the framework tonight. This could be very lucrative. Beth came into the office with dinner on a tray. You're not coming downstairs, are you? I'm fine here. Ross, you had chest pains this afternoon. You need to rest. I'll rest after Friday. She sat on the edge of my desk. What if something happens to you before then? What if all this stress... She didn't finish the sentence. Nothing's going to happen. You don't know that. Her voice was quiet. I've been thinking about what you said earlier, about proving the 26 years mattered. They did matter. You don't need Skylar to validate that. I looked at her. What are you saying? I'm saying maybe it's time to let someone else fight the battles. You've done enough. That night, I barely slept. My chest was tight, and every time I closed my eyes, I saw that countdown clock. Beth found me at 3 a.m. sitting at my desk, watching the numbers tick down. Come back to bed, she said. I can't. She didn't say anything, just put her hand on my shoulder and stayed there until I finally shut down the computer. Thursday morning arrived gray and cold. I made coffee and sat on the porch watching the neighborhood wake up. My phone was already buzzing with missed calls. I ignored them all. At 8 a.m., my attorney called. Ross, I've got the partnership framework ready. Apex wants to meet this afternoon. They're offering $22 million over 4 years, plus equity in the Fortress deployment. What about Iron Ridge? What about them? As of tomorrow noon, you own the system. You can license it to whoever you want. I checked the countdown. 28 hours, 0 minutes, 15 seconds. The call came at 10:30 a.m. Thomas Webb, the board member who actually read contracts. Ross, I'm going to be direct. We need you back. Skylar's out. The board voted this morning. She's fired, resigned, effective immediately. Her father's stepping back too. We're bringing in interim management. I waited. Name your terms. Salary, title, whatever you want. Just come back and fix this. Thomas, I appreciate the call, but I'm not coming back. Ross, be reasonable. This company will die without you. Maybe it should. What about the 400 people who work here? What about Danny Torres and his family? What about all the contracts that depend on your systems? That hit harder than I expected. I thought about Sophia Torres, 10 years old, learning to code on my laptop, about the engineers who'd trusted me to guide their careers, about the submarine crews who depended on secure communications. I'll think about it, I said finally. How long? I looked at the countdown. You'll know by tomorrow noon. That afternoon, I met with Michael Brady from Apex. He was 50, gray-haired, the kind of executive who'd actually worked his way up. We met at a restaurant in Arlington, the same place where Bulldog had told me about the clause 12 years ago. Mr. Caldwell, I'll be direct. We want to work with you, not against you. The Fortress system is the reason we were interested in Iron Ridge in the first place. What are you proposing? Forget Iron Ridge. Partner with us directly. You keep ownership of the system, we handle deployment and support. You get $22 million over 4 years plus 15% equity in all related contracts. And the people at Iron Ridge will hire the ones worth hiring, including your protege, Danny Torres. I looked out the window. It was the same view Bulldog and I had shared 12 years ago. I need to think about it, of course. But we need an answer soon. The submarine contract bids are due Monday. Friday morning I woke up early. Beth was still asleep. I went downstairs, made coffee, and sat on the porch one last time. The sunrise was beautiful, painting the sky orange and gold. At 11:55 a.m., I went upstairs and opened my laptop. The countdown read 4 minutes, 38 seconds. Beth stood in the doorway, watching. "You sure about this?" she asked. "Yeah, I'm sure." The numbers ticked down. 3 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute. At exactly 1200 noon, the screen flashed. Transfer complete. No alarms, no fanfare, just a simple notification and a PDF that appeared on screen. I opened it. The licensing certificate for the Fortress Protocol, updated automatically. Owner, Ross Caldwell. 26 years of work. Now mine. I called Thomas Webb first. "Thomas, it's Ross. I've made my decision about coming back. And I'm not coming back. But I'm not abandoning the people either. I'm forming Caldwell Defense Solutions. I'll be hiring Danny Torres as technical director and any other engineers who want to come. Ross, I'm licensing the Fortress system to Apex for the submarine contract. Iron Ridge won't be involved." There was a long silence. Then, "I understand. For what it's worth, you're doing the right thing." An hour later, the news broke. Apex Defense Corporation announces exclusive partnership with Caldwell Defense Solutions for Fortress Protocol deployment. That evening, Beth and I sat on the porch. The sunset was spectacular. "So what now?" she asked. "Now we pack. Colorado's waiting. And after Colorado, 3 years of consulting, then I'm done for good. 96 hours. That's all it took to change everything." Skylar thought she was cutting costs. What she did was free me to build something better. I'm 52 years old, I've got 3 years of work left, then full retirement. And somewhere in Virginia, there's a boardroom learning that loyalty, competence, and reading your contracts actually matters. Not because people are irreplaceable, but because some people earn what they get.